Georgia.
Hello, shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. We're glad y'all here. Hope you had a good week. CW, how did your week go, brother?
It was a pretty good week. It really was. We had one rainy day, and it wiped out all that white stuff we had outside. And then the next morning, it snowed again. But it was warm, so it's gone. It's gone again already. The only thing we got left is a couple of snow piles where they piled it high plowing. I was able to get out and do a little bit of shooting. I made a few videos and had a pretty good week overall. We got a party tomorrow for my buddy's wife who helped me take care of Sandra. So we're going to go and have a good time out at the steakhouse tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully we get halfway decent weather on Sunday. We're going to have a rain out tomorrow, but hopefully get a halfway decent weather and we can get back out to the gun range on Sunday. Well, we'll see how that goes. Hillbilly, how'd you do? What'd you do all week?
Oh, man. Try not to go outside because it got cold and windy. But, no, I had a great week. I actually did go out and shoot a video. Just having all kinds of fun. I mean, yeah. I love starting my Fridays, my weekends off right here on Georgia Shooting Connection. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And we got a rock and roll and side chat out there, fellas.
It's just screaming by.
So, Gene, what you been up to, buddy? What'd you do this weekend? Or this week, I guess. Weekend ain't here yet. Pulling a hillbilly.
Well, I was doing the hillbilly. See, hillbilly didn't do the hillbilly, so Hot Pot had to do the hillbilly. So everybody wasn't disappointed that they didn't get to see the hillbilly tonight.
Exactly.
I've had a pretty good week, been super busy at work. My boss is actually stepping up because the company is doing really well. Thanks to everyone who purchases from Republic Ammunition. He is stepping up what's going on with us as far as benefits. And there's only 4 of us, but he's putting forward because of the increased business. I'd like to thank everybody on the panel and everybody out in the chat and everybody that orders from Republic Ammunition, because it's definitely stepping things up for us, which is very, very nice. He's a very good man. He is a very good man. I've just been busy at work. I was shooting a couple of videos earlier of some items I got in. So I got some other videos coming out this week. Took the 308 to the range just last week, and I shot a bunch of rounds through it. Learned my hand loads are way more accurate than Hornady match ammo is. So disappointing. 100 yards, crazy. So I got some stuff coming up. We got a really good topic tonight. Got a great side chat going on so fast. I quit trying to keep up. So hi, everybody in the side chat.
Walter, how was your week?
My week was good. You know, we were talking in the back room back there for a minute, and kind of half the people I know have been hacking and coughing with whatever this virus du jour is that's going around, and I'm mostly through mine, so that was kind of good to get rid of that. I got to the range a couple of times, and I put the Moldy Monday series to bed this last Monday. That was a little rough. I'd gotten pretty used to that. So, but I'm happy to be here. Let me tell you, Friday night's my favorite night of the week for sure. Next to Saturday night, you know, there's 2 nights in a row are really just give me a big lift. They really do. So I'm glad to be here. I thank you for the invitation. It's good to see the side chat up and running so quickly. You guys dive in faster than we do. I don't know how you get here so fast, but you do. It's like somebody left the front door open and everything came in. Been raining here all day, so I didn't get out to get my walk exercise done, but that's all right. I worked on brass and some other stuff. So anyway, let's run it over here to Mark and see what Mr. Thomas has been doing and what he's up to this week.
Well, it has been a busy week. Back at school, and I haven't been able to do anything in the way of reloading. I really want to. I have a bunch of projects that I've been itching to get to. I haven't been to the range in I don't know how long, and maybe we'll sneak something in on Sunday. We're supposed to have some good weather, a little bit of rain tomorrow. Just happy to be here. Been looking forward to it all week. It's just such a pleasant way to spend Friday night, Saturday night, hanging out with everybody. So let's just take her on down to Pat. Thanks for everybody being here. Hello to everybody in the side chat. Let's get things rolling.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me on as always, Jamie. Appreciate it. Glad to see you fellers. I'll tell you what, after the last 2 days that I've had, I'd rather be here than where I was at before. So I'll put it that way. That tells you how the last 2 days have gone. So not very
You've
good.
been arm deep in a heifer, have you?
5 of them, actually.
Oh, man.
And I lost 4 out of the 5.
Oh, no, brother. That's terrible. I'm so sorry.
So I have not had a good last couple days.
Boy,
Not good at all. So
What do you mean?
Anyway,
Man, that's like that. That's future stakes.
yep. Well, when you're in the cattle business, sometimes you get into a bad run of luck on something.
Well, first
No
of all,
rhyme or reason.
You just got to think of that as pre-stake mode.
Yeah. But
Hey,
anywho,
man, trying to help.
I know. But anyway, I ain't gonna talk about that tonight. I'm here to relax, here to have a good conversation, and kind of forget about the last 2 days for at least for a couple hours. So thanks again, Jamie, for having me on. So I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being here, brother. And we got
Thank you.
Kyle Lusk out there in the side chat among many other fine, distinguished gentlemen. There's G23. Hey, G.
Yeah.
There's 50 more of them out there.
Wow. Michael Dunn's out there. Michael got a box this week. And I
There's
think
Gizzard Gary.
hey, yeah, there's Gary.
Hey,
what's
I
up,
figured
Tex?
I figured
There's
Texas
a
might
Lizard
keep
Larry
him.
sighting.
Yeah, I got some stuff going on. It's been a good week, though. It's been a busy week, and
Mm-hmm.
Dad's health continues to decline, so we'll see what happens with that. Next Friday night, I probably should have told you before we went live. Next Friday night, I will not be here, so y'all be on your own at least for a little while. I'll try to get everything set up for you. And, so all you got to do is click buttons and that kind of stuff. But
I just got a text come across my screen. My gun shop just texted me. My rifle came in. Woohoo!
gotta love that.
There you go. We know what you'll be up to tomorrow.
Tomorrow or Sunday? I don't know. We'll see how the weather is. What I do tomorrow. But
Yeah.
we planned on going in on Sunday, so we'll see.
That's 2-way Christmas right there.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be drinking and cussing on here. Jamie won't be here.
I feel like I'll tell y'all after what's going on. I think I've already told CW, but there's Christian Gress. All these distinguished folks out there. We're just y'all humble us by coming in here on a Friday night. So should we, Hasbro? I give the keys to Hillbilly and CW every time I got to be, and they know my heart. They're not going to go off and do some like they're not going to have strippers on here next week. So y'all,
Maybe some stripper clips.
yeah. I saw a video. I think it was this past week. And I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Mark Thomas. Had these rubber speed loaders for revolvers. That was you, man.
Yeah.
I want to see some of them.
Zeta 6.
I got this Safari Land, and then I got this HKS for my J frame, but it's not really a J frame because it's a Taurus. So
I used to have some of the rubber ones way long time ago when I was working for the sheriff's department. We had them for the 44, and you just kind of pinch them.
Yeah.
And so they go in pretty quickly.
Yeah, I like it. I've got a couple.
Yeah. Greg over at Lion Quest Fitness, I'd made him a holster too, and he sent me those. There's one that's the round that puts them straight in, and there's another straight strip that they're 3 like half moons, and boy, that straight strip fits in your pocket, and you just can't even tell it's there.
Yeah.
The round ones are nice too. They fit just fine.
Yeah.
And those
Safari
are actually they're really easy to peel off. They just drop right in the cylinder. I mean, there's no wiggling like with the HKS. Pop right in, and you just kind of peel them off like a Tupperware top. And boy, they drop right in. They're great.
Yeah, they make them for from 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, 38, 44, and 12 gauge for sure. They might do 20. I'm not sure, but I know they do 12 because I use them. I keep them for 12 gauge too.
Yeah. Now, see, like the Taurus Ultralight 85 38 Special my wife carries, the cylinder door don't swing all the way open, so you cannot use a round one. So you have to use the rubber strip loader on it. And I tell you what, it's pretty darn fast. I mean, it really is.
Put 2 in at once and peel it off, and 2 in at once and peel it off. It's pretty quick. But the nicest thing is carrying it. It's so much nicer to carry than a speed loader, a round speed loader. Right, like like you say, right in your pocket.
Well, these actually came also in a little holster that would hold 2 strips with a Velcro flap on it too. So like if you wanted to carry them on your side or whatever, you could also do that. And like they don't print. I mean, you're only talking like this big and not very wide. And so they're pretty handy.
There's chessboard.
There's chessboard out there. To those of y'all who may not know, I think I've said this several times, but Chessboard made our opening video, and I appreciate that very much, Chessboard. I got to do some more. I got to get Ray Charles off because it's messing with Hillbilly's money, and we can't have that.
No. It don't. That don't bother. It just shows up the little deal. But yeah, it don't bother anything. And plus, I don't monetize any of these anyhow. So, but Jamie, you're a singer. Just got a guitar and sing that little clip.
There you go.
They can't do anything about that.
While Insight Freedom's here, I got to tell a quick story. My grandmother was born in the mountains of Kentucky and moved down here and to Georgia. Big time old school country music fan, loved the Lord, knew her Bible inside out. Can y'all guess what the very first song I learned to sing the words to were? Except the hymns, of course.
Oh, it wasn't it him?
Well, I think the first song I actually learned the words to was When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, I'll Be There. Y'all know that one?
Mhm.
But Inside will get a kick out of this. And bear in mind, Scott, she knew absolutely nothing about college football at all. She certainly didn't know that I would grow up to be a big time Georgia Bulldog fan. And she certainly didn't know that you were a Tennessee Volunteers fan. But the first song that was not religious that I learned the words to was Rocky Top.
Rocky
All,
Top.
I was
All
going to say,
these,
hang on, Sloopy.
all these years later, I still know all the words.
Oh, who doesn't know Rocky Top, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't learn. My first Bible song wasn't like any of those. I can still remember singing it in Sunday school. I must have been 4 or 5 years old or something. And that was Jesus Loves Me.
You
Yeah.
know, Walter, that was my first one I learned when I was when I first started Bible study.
That was
Me
pretty.
and my sisters I can still remember all three of us walking up and down the hall singing that on Sunday in the house. Come home from Sunday school and we all sang that.
Yeah. One of the earliest ones I can remember is I Got Home in Glory. Be
Hey,
Lord.
check this out, Walter. Me and Ms. Hotshot actually met in Sunday school at the Baptist
Really?
church. Yeah.
Cool.
We were like, I think we were 5 or 6 years old for when we first met. And then we interacted through our lives here and there. Now,
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
That took a while to develop.
Yeah.
It sure did.
Well,
didn't it?
all good things
Life's
come to those
pathways.
who wait.
Yeah. Life's
Well-
pathways take some interesting twists and turns.
It's just like a good stew. You got to let it sit and simmer for quite a while to get all the flavors and everything to come together just right.
Or chili. It's better the next
Exactly.
day or after it's been frozen for 6 months and you forgot about it.
Yep, I agree.
Gene, that reminds me of something right there. Your roads may have been connected back then, but as people, we take these side paths,
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes us some time to get right back to that main street,
We're all just a bunch of squirrels. And Andy, the box got mailed out to you yesterday from the shop. So it's going to come in from Republic Ammunition. My boss cuts me a deal on the shipping.
Tommy boy, I want a banjo. That might be the next. I either need to upgrade my trombone or buy me a banjo. I think I'm going to buy a banjo. Getting close to being able to retire. That would be a fun instrument to learn. I mean, you just can't think of a banjo without smiling. I mean, golly, you just can't. Mm. Until you watch a Burt Reynolds movie and they say, "Here, banjo music, battle faster."
I remember,
You beat me to it, Jamie. You beat me to it.
I remember in band at younger age, I remember somebody asking the music teacher, said, "What's the difference between a violin and a fiddle?" He goes, "About 5 or 6 states."
That's great.
I heard that as one has strings and one has strings.
Yeah.
They're always strings.
I believe that.
You need to change them strings, boy. They sounding bad.
Hasbro has a good one out there. Here,
Hey, Ozark Spirits here.
Run.
Do not scream either. They'll follow the sound.
So we got Marvin's out there. Good to see Ozark Spirit in the crowd. We're better now that you're here, Ozark. What's going on, brother? Hope you had a good week. That's the life right there, Tommy boy. Well, it's going to be time to call out the side chat here in a minute. We probably ought to get to which topic y'all want to tackle first. The single action armies or the cartridges fit for shooting 1,000 yards?
I want to hear you guys talk about shooting 1,000 yards.
I want to hear about the 45 ACP Model 19 Glock.
45 ACP.
Or Schofield or Colt, any big, real caliber 45. No reaction.
Well, I have no preference.
Walter's not even twitching over there.
I'm here for it.
Well,
9mm.
buddy.
If anybody didn't see Walter's video, didn't get to read the side chat, the comments, you're missing out.
His comments.
You're missing out.
Everybody but his was at least reasonable. I had to go put on a helmet after I started reading his comments.
We're getting a mixed bag of votes. Anyway, so I watched a couple of videos today, and it seems like 6.5 Creedmoor is a good beginner cartridge for 1,000 yards. 6mm Dasher is one that was brought up a good bit. Seems it has a lot more case capacity than even 6mm Creedmoor. And what we're talking about here is we got to have a bullet with high ballistic coefficient.
Well, that's where it gets kind of technical, and that's where it can go really off on a tangent. Talking about the hows and whys of BCs and the G1s and the G4s it really gets. You thought we got into the what was the word everybody used with our cast bullets? Mind numbing. You can really get deep. You start looking at bullets and what they do and why they do it and how it changes with elevations and how it changes with velocities and how it, boy, oh boy, talk about weeds. Talk about getting thick in the weeds. You can really, really get out there.
Well, yeah. And that's just a cast bullet. What if you really start talking about shooting 1,000 yards? I mean, golly, it's infinitely deeper.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you thought cast bullets was bad. You just you don't even know what you've just done.
Right. That's our point. Yeah. We got 2 hours and we got to clear the deck for Gizzard Gary. So
yeah.
So like on something like that, being an engine and guy and all this and that, when you cast your bullets, like, would it make a difference, like if you was to polish them down or make them more dynamic of any kind, or at that distance?
If you were shooting them that far, yeah. And there's people that do shoot cast bullets quite far, but like I've said to a lot of people, you want to cast bullets, great. You want to make your own bullets and you want to save some money and you want to be able to make bullets for all different styles and all that. That's great. You're shooting 50 feet, 30 feet, 50 yards. You're shooting 44s and 38s and you're having a grand old time. Well, all of a sudden you realize, hey, I got a 30-06. I can cast bullets for that. So you start buying 30 caliber molds, and you start realizing that, well, I can shoot like 1-inch groups at 30 feet with my pistol, but I can't shoot like 10-inch groups with my 06. What's going on? Well, it takes a little bit better casting and a little bit better, quality control, and you really need to be doing everything properly if you're expecting to get accuracy at distance with a cast bullet. So that's why you just don't see, a couple hundred yards, but guys that can cast bullets that can shoot accurately at 500 yards, 600 yards, that's a craftsman. I can't do it. That's a craftsman. That's that's really something. That's you sight your 22 in it at 25 feet and you're shooting and you could hit a dime every time, and then you step out to 100 yards and you're shooting 4 inches. That's what you're talking about. That 100 yards with a 22 is 500 yards with a 30-06 type of thing. You just can't fathom the control you need on that bullet to make it be able to perform at those distances. Those little bitty idiosyncrasies, that little bitty flaws, little bitty, you're not mixing your lead enough, little bitty alloy problems, little bitty weight that's not balanced. You didn't hold the mold block right when it's thick. You can get way off in left field trying to cast a bullet that'll accurately shoot it. And I wouldn't even say 1,000, 500 yards. So yeah, those little things, smoother lines and more sleeker styles, that's where all that makes a difference, is when you start stretching the yardages. You can shoot that round nose bullet out to 300 yards and probably not see much of a difference between the slickest bullet in the world and that round nose. But you stretch that out past 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, that round nose bullet is going to skip off the ground a couple times before it bounces into the target, compared to that slick bullet. I mean, it literally can be that crazy at, I don't know how to explain it better. An inch group at 100 yards is 10 inches at 1,000. It's a cone. It's astronomically greater. So when you can shoot really, really tight out there, think about what you're doing, what you could possibly do up close. Like that group I shot the other day with everybody may not know it, but my 25-45, I shot a 368.368 5-shot group.
That was incredible.
And
that was amazing.
That's one of the best groups I've shot. One of my tightest groups, and that's with an AR-15. That shouldn't shoot that well. The sum of the parts it's got a good barrel, but the sum of the parts, it doesn't have anywhere near the fine tuning that some of my bolt guns do, and they haven't shot that kind of group. I won't say not capable of, but they haven't done it yet. So yeah. But BC is a big thing. You got and I brought some books out here to show. We talked about this thing, and Hornady is a good one that just comes to mind. And they've had 2 manuals for a while. Now you buy their manual, and this is what you got. You could buy just the loading manual, but if you bought the main package, you got 2 books. And that second book is one you probably never picked up or looked at, or you opened it up and said, "Hey, there's no data in here. What's going on? I don't need any of this stuff. What is all this?" Well, what it is it's ballistic tables by velocity for every bullet that they make. So you can look up in here, and it'll show you charts based on velocity and bullets. So you get a bullet at the top of the page, and then you get yardages, and it'll give you 0 to 100, 0 to 200, 0 to 300, and it'll give you drops and ballistics, hard ballistics for that bullet, that specific bullet. So it takes consideration the bullet's BC, and it takes consideration the velocity that it was started out at, and it'll give you a good estimate as to what you can expect at yardage with that bullet. Now, it's not going to take into consideration environmentals, like temperature and elevation and heat and all the other things that are viable and need to be looked at. But it gives you something to go from, so you can say, okay, I got a 30-06, and I want to shoot a 168 because that's what I really like. And then you realize that, you hear about all these 212s and 208s, and that's way too heavy in 06. I don't shoot that kind of a heavy bullet. 168, that's what I want to shoot. And you look at it and you say, oh my goodness, there is quite a bit of drop difference if I go to that 208, but it's a heavier bullet. How can it shoot flatter? How can it hold velocity better than my 168 that starts out so much faster? And that's the kind of things you need to look at and realize when you're picking a bullet, because cartridge really, most deer cartridges are going to do it, are going to reach out to 1,000 and you can use them. But you're maybe not going to do it with every bullet, or even the bullets that you're used to using. You're going to need to step up to a slicker, smoother, pointier ogive. That type of a long, skinny. Think of a missile. Think of something like that, long and skinny, and very slick and smooth. Today, everything's got the plastic tips. The hard plastic or aluminum tips, and that's because that's what cuts the air, and that's what the leading edge of your bullet is, and that makes all the difference. Stepping out there at 1,000, 1,200, or farther out mile, shooting a mile or so. But what I look at when I'm looking at a cartridge that may have potential for 1,000 yards, not that I'm any kind of expert. I've never even shot at 1,000 yards, but reading and talking to people is velocity at 1,000 yards. You want to make sure you are maintaining supersonic velocities. You're dropping transonic or dropping out of supersonic. It can do some funny things to your bullet, and it can be difficult. Oh, I swapped corners. It can be difficult to maintain good accuracy and consistent groupings if you are not staying supersonic all the way out to your target.
Actually, what happened, CW, is as you were talking there, you went off and came back on. You were buffering a little bit. Not that we couldn't, you look, everything was great, and then all of a sudden you were gone and back on in milliseconds. That was wild.
Yeah, I got bumped all the way to the left-hand corner, right-hand corner.
You like that, Mo better? Let's do this, and when Hillbilly comes back on here and starts talking, we'll take that logo down. But right now, we need to call out the side chat. We had 63 a second ago. We still got 56. So what can we have them type in, guys? 1K?
That's a good one.
Sounds good. Yep, 1K.
They're
There's
talking
Court
about...
Boy. Hello, Pastor.
They're talking about 4570 and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Good to see the pastor out there. And there are a lot of mountains and pine trees up there where you live, especially. We've got hills and pine trees around here. But first up, we had Reloading from the Hot Pots in the panel and the side chat. He beat Walter tonight, which is
That's a feat.
rarity.
Yep, that's a feat.
Walter's also on the panel. We're glad to have him. We got Tim S., Michael Dunn, Pat in the Bunkers on the panel as well. Ozark Spirit, Duffer 426, Christian Grest is out there. Ohio Simple, good to see you in here, buddy. We got Mike Hester, 2 Live Moo. What's going on, buddy? Andre D'Angelo, Hasbro, Edward Petty. Hasbro, your party was fun the other night. We got Six Shooter Texan, Boomstick Revenge, Tommy Boy, Dale Pogue, Heasay, Georgia Boy 44, Dwayne 7834, CW Longshot, Dummy Round. Hey, brother, what's going on? We
Good to
got
see you.
Rollis Carvelis, Floridian, Dummy Round, GGW, Outdoors,
Wow.
Gizzard Gary, Bobby Barlow, Ashley A, Insight Freedom, Walks Fletcher. He wants to talk about single action armies. Chessboard, CW Longshot, Rich B. Wes is out there. Welcome, buddy. We got Hillbilly Up, One Caltech, Reloader 762. And we have a sighting. Let's take a break in 3, 2, 1.
Hey,
Mario.
Mario.
West Coast weirdo.
Good to see Dummy Round out there. We need to get him
Yeah.
on the panel sometime if he can join us, if he can stand us. We got Andy 79 Z28 out there. He's dealing with zinc tonight. Wish he was on the panel. Garage Guy 87901 guy. Mark Thomas is out there and on the panel. And Hasbro ain't wrong. And everybody's saying hey to Mario in the house. Good to see Mario out there. And I think that's everybody. I hope I got everybody. So, on trying to do research, I ran into one video, and I wish I could remember the guy. I could probably pull up that video, but I know y'all don't want to watch another video while you're watching. Wow, I can't even call up my work account. Try this one. Anyway, there was guys on there that you all know. Gavin Tube, Eric Cortina, Hootie Who, one guy named Niles who was a champion pistol shooter, and they were all talking about the calibers that they like for shooting 1,000 yards, and most all of the guys that do it and do it on a regular basis were using something in 7mm. 7mm mag, 7mm PRC, and of course Eric Cortina's. I've always heard him talk about 284s.
And that's largely become because of the BC. But what I didn't get into, and I'll touch on it briefly. I don't want to step on your toes, Jamie, but when you start getting really good and high BCs, you look at those really giant 30 calibers, really big 6mm, really big 7mm, super high BCs. I mean, you're up pushing 700, and you see that's great. CW said the bigger number, the better it is. Well, you need to have some horsepower to push that. And to get that horsepower, you get recoil. Once you get into recoil, now it's not as much fun to shoot. You can't shoot as often. You can't shoot as much. And it's not as much fun. So you drop it back to a cartridge that's not so bad in recoil, but you don't have the horsepower to push those really big, long bullets. Like you look at the 6.5. You know, we started with conversation with 6.5, and it is a good choice. And part of the reason that it is because it has really good BC of the bullets without needing them to be super heavy, which means they can be pushed by lighter charges of powder, lighter recoiling cartridges, which are more fun to shoot. We enter into PRC type shooting. Now you don't have known distances. You don't have anybody there to tell you your high left, high right, because they're sitting there with a spotting scope. You have to tell yourself where you hit. And if you're shooting on a hillside that's 480 yards or 560 yards away, and you're shooting that 7 mag that shoots really flat, or that 7 PRC that shoots really flat and fast and has a really great BC, and well, you get scope blackout. You can't recover from the recoil to see your spot where you shot, to be able to tell that you were high left, high right. You need more elevation, you need more windage. You can't do any of that. So that's why you're seeing these calibers like the 6 ARC and the little Grendel and all these other 6mm PPC, 6mm GT, 6mm, the one Jamie said when we started this, and I can never think of the name of that bugger.
6mm Dasher.
The Dasher. There's probably a dozen that are almost identical. They're either a 440 case diameter, or they're a 473 case, or they're 1.6, they're 1.8, they're 1.5, they're 1.3, 30 millimeter, 40 millimeter, 25 millimeter, 27 millimeter shoulders. They're picture just slight variations of the same darn thing. And why? Because they're about perfect for moving the bullet fast enough to maintain supersonic past 1,000, yet not hard on the shoulder, easy to load, easy on recoil, and accurate. So, like I said in the beginning, there's a whole bunch of regular deer calibers that'll work perfectly well to hit it 1,000 yards or more. And 7 mag is one of those. 7 PRC is another one. But they're doing it at the cost of higher recoil and not as much fun to shoot, more expensive to shoot, more amounts of powder. You can go down the minor negatives, but when you add all up those minor negatives, they become a big deal. When you're, I don't know if your parents ever told you this, but this is something that I was always told. And that was, when you're trying to decide on something, you get yourself a piece of paper and you write the positives and the negatives. Write them all down, and don't do it in 5 minutes. Take a week, take a month, take a couple days, whatever it takes. And every time you think of something, write it on your list. And then at the end of the time, you look at it, and you may think that this is perfect for me 100%, but you look at it and you got 15 things that are good to do this, but you got 25 that are bad. Well, guess what? It's bad. You may not have initially thought that, and you may initially wanted this way, but it bears out that the sum total of all the little bitty negatives make it a negative. So, just different things to look at. I knew it would be out there. More 270 talk.
Well, you know me, okay? Everybody knows me. I'm a bit of an a-hole. So I've been looking up 270 facts. 270 facts is the maximum effective range for a 270 for hunting is 325 yards. Can it take something past that? Yes.
That comes from a, let me explain that, Dean. That comes from a maximum rise and fall above or below the line of sight.
Yes.
And that's based on your average game animal being, let's say, 12 inches, their vitals being 12 inches high. So when you say maximum point blank range or optimal range of a cartridge, and you say it's whatever, it's because it's based on the bullet never rising above 6 inches or dropping below 6 inches, meaning it can always be inside the vitals of a game animal within this amount of yardage. Not that it's won't work farther. Just that's what it's best optimally.
Yes, this calls 3.5 inches right, high or low, so which is 7 inches, and that is for an ethical kill on game. Anything past that becomes questionable in the size of the game. Like you're not going to take an elk with it. It's not going to happen.
270?
And be ethical.
No, I would respectfully disagree.
I'm reading some facts on it. It was designed as a great long range cartridge. It's wonderful for deer, but it's not an elk cartridge. Is it capable? Yes, but it's not going to be ethical. Elk said that's a big animal, man. that's not a little. That's not a little whitetail running around our woods.
Jack O'Connor made a living of writing about his hunting escapades with the 270.
I'm not saying it's not a great cartridge. It is a great cartridge. Everybody that shoots it keeps their brass because we don't see hardly any of it in the shop.
Yeah, well, I can I can say with full confidence, my dad used to reload for 270, and the longest shot he made with the 270. Now it was on whitetail, so definitely within its capable range, and he nailed one at 500 yards on a buck, and I've got the rack to prove it in the bunker right now. So, definitely a good cartridge.
Yeah, 500 yards for a deer, but when you start getting any larger animals,
for sure.
Out that far, it becomes an unethical. If you do kill it, it becomes unethical.
Right, and I totally agree with you. And I do, Gene, because you still got to have the horsepower, you got to have the mass, you got to have the velocity, you got to have all of it to make that shot.
Yes, you do.
But as far as 320 yards, when you get into the reloading and everything, and that gun inside and out, backwards, upside down, and on fire, yeah, guy's probably going to stretch it out a little bit further.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not using it. You're definitely not buying your rounds at Dunham's.
Good one, Gene.
Yeah. I think the main thing is is what we've mentioned here, is you've got to have a very high ballistic coefficient bullet. It's got to be going supersonic at the target, which is 1,000 yards, or as the Scottish American put it, 971 meters, or point something meters, I think's what he said. Yeah, and insight brings up the energy factor there. Yeah, so that's a 130 or 150 round bullet. The 130's going over 3,000 feet per second at the muzzle. 914 meters, excuse me. That's a long way. And until when we say 1,000 yards, some people take that as like, man, that sounds like forever. And then some people, it's like, well, it don't sound very far. And 914 meters makes it sound even closer. But I'm here to tell you, when you step up to that firing line and you're looking out at a target that's 1,000 yards away, it is an unbelievably long way. I mean, to sit there and look at it with the naked eye, yeah. So I think that's what you got to be looking at. You got to be looking at. There's Tread. What's up, buddy? Drive careful, man. It's been raining like crazy here all day. I mean, crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1,000 yards. We're talking is hitting a piece of paper or a piece of steel. We're not talking about game. And the number Gene mentioned there for ability to kill, I think he's mixing up a couple things. It's that yardage is based on what I said, what Gene said, 3.5 inches above or below. It's not that it won't kill farther, and it's not that it won't kill big game farther. It's just that based on that trajectory, 3.5 inches up, 3.5 inches down, it is that far. So yes, it's been done farther, and yes, it can ethically be done farther. That's when you want to look at the bullet that you're choosing and the energy that it carries at yardage, as well as velocity to an extent. Most cup and core big game bullets are going to need about 14 or 1,500 feet per second to expand. Most copper, homogeneous copper, one piece copper bullets need over 2,000 feet per second to expand. Some are 2,400 feet per second. So when you're looking at, shooting an elk at 600 yards, you're going to want to have a certain level of energy and, based on the bullet you choose, velocity. So if your favorite bullet, your favorite cartridge is a 270, and you're shooting a 130 grain bullet, you can certainly do elk with that, but you're going to have to shorten your distance up a little because the 130 isn't going to carry as much energy as far. You step up to 150 and your velocity drops, but your energy is going to pick up a little, and it's also going to carry a little bit farther, longer, but the velocity is going to be lower when it gets there. So it's all a variable. So choosing a solid copper bullet might be dynamite inside 300 yards, but out at 500 yards, 600 yards, that velocity may drop well below the threshold for reliable expansion, which means you're just poking a hole, which is not ethical.
That's all I was saying.
Yeah. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
And then you go to a cup and core bullet and you're going to get expansion at lower velocities. And that's the reason that you see bullets like A-frames and partitions. And that's because that bullet will expand only so far, yet it will still carry the shank or base of the bullet enough to give adequate killing penetration. So there's all kinds of variables. I said that the weeds get deep when you start getting into this stuff, and it really does.
Yeah, for sure.
well, a long time before I was shooting 1,000 yards, I was a deer hunter, and I've always wanted to go out west and take an elk and a bighorn ram. Those are my two bucket list things to do. And of course, I'll probably never get the bighorn ram because, like somebody said earlier, after you shoot it, you got to go get it. And maybe beyond the scope of my pay grade and with my health at this point. But Rollis is right there. Find a place that has 1,000 yards straight away. Look at it with a naked eye and look at it through a scope and get used to what that looks like and through both.
1,000 yards is a long ways away.
I sent Jamie a picture earlier this week that I had found, and it's from 1929. And I'm going to screw up and not remember correctly the score and what he did, but basically, this was an army guy who shot a 1,000-yard target at 1,000 yards with a 30-06 with open sights. And I forget the score that he shot and the number of hits that he had for all the shots that he took, but open sights, like Rollis said, look at 1,000 yards with your naked eye. This guy shot a target and it had all kinds of center hits, all kinds of them. He must have shot, 40 or 50 times. I mean, I about guarantee even these guys that shoot 1,000 yards regularly would be just totally out of their element, handed a peep-sighted 1903 Springfield, and hit a target 1,000 yards with a peep-sighted gun. That's something. That's
Yeah.
something.
Well,
That's
who
hard
was
to
the,
comprehend.
who was the Swedish sniper that had no optics and was regularly taking out German soldiers with captured Mosin Nagants?
Simo Heha.
Yes, thank you. And that guy, how many credits did he get? So it can be done. That guy was the man on open sights.
I can't comprehend that. At now when I look at 1,000 yards with the naked eye, and it may be a 36-inch target. I mean, it looks and seeing a bullseye on it is no.
I couldn't. I can't do it.
I'll throw my 2 cents in on the 1,000 yards. If you're looking for a challenge, and I've stretched it out to 800 yards. I haven't shot 1,000 with it yet, but 7.62 by 54R. Good cartridge, and there's 3 other YouTubers out there that have done that. One with a regular 9130 with a PU scope, exactly like the snipers back in World War II were running. That's 9-hole reviews. Henry did that. Iraq veteran did it with a slightly modified one, and a kid from I'm subscribed to him, I can't remember his name. Had a 9130 with a modern day scope on it and shot out to 1,000. And I have rang steel, and granted it was a bigger plate, and I was just messing around one day and hit it a couple times. I had a spotter with me, my brother. Yeah, if you're looking for a really cool challenge, try an old military cartridge. Go out there and go have fun with some of that. And if you really want to spice it up, run the old military ammo. If you're really looking for a challenge. I was pretty lucky when I started shooting. When I was put out to 800. And one of these days I will videotape that out to 1,000. But my hand loads out to 1,000 yards. And I would love to stretch it out just to say I did. So, yeah, just pick an old military cartridge like a 30-06 or 7.62 by 54R out of the Mosin, or, pick your poison on that one and just give it a whirl. Even if it's with a modern day rifle or a good solid military surplus rifle. Even if you're slightly modified with a scope or something that they ran back in the day, or I know, granted, so a lot of that stuff is starting to get harder and harder to find, and the price is going up on it all the freaking time. But yeah, maybe go out there and go have some with some old milsurp stuff. That's kind of my bag.
The way those guys in the military back in the day shot were, especially during World War II in Korea, those guys. And our buddy Dave Thorzax, I mean, he's done a lot of that with some of the stuff he's been exposed to in long range shooting and his pistol shooting. So that is amazing to me. Gene, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir. Let's do this.
It's time for What's Hot Pot got?
I love the way you say that, Jamie. That is great. In honor of tonight's topics, I have picked out two excellent rounds to show. The first one is this beauty right here. This is 300 Win Mag. Excellent for long distance shooting, excellent for long distance ethical kills. Now, got a little bit of info on this. So, the 300 Winchester Magnum, also known as 300 Win Mag or 300 WM, is a belted bottleneck Magnum rifle cartridge that was introduced by the Winchester Repeating Arms Company in 1963. The 300 Winchester Magnum is a Magnum cartridge designed to fit in a standard rifle action. It's based on the 375 H&H mag, which has been blown out, shortened, and necked down to accept a 30 caliber bullet. Average bullet weights for this are 150, 180, 190, 200, and 220. This cartridge is designed for long distance shooting and is mid to large range size big game such as North American moose, elk, bighorn sheep, mule deer, and white-tailed deer, making this one of the most versatile big game hunting cartridges. Excellent round. If you want to shoot 1,000 yards, this will do it. You want to make a kill near that distance, this will do it. Isn't that just a beautiful? I really like the way that looks. That's the first one. That's a lot of horsepower there. The next one I'm going to show goes with the next topic. And this is 45 Schofield, which Glock will be introducing a semi-automatic pistol. And the Glock 19 will be chambered in this here shortly, as CW has announced.
Woohoo!
45 Schofield, also referred to as the 45 Smith & Wesson, is a revolver cartridge developed by Smith & Wesson for their Model 3 Schofield break-top revolver. It is similar to the 45 Colt cartridge, but has a shorter case and a larger rim. 45 Schofield will generally work in revolvers chambered for 45 Colt, but the reverse is not true, as the 45 case is longer. It was actually in service with the U.S. Army from 1875 to 1892. It has been produced from 1875 to present day. Average bullet weights on this is 200, 200 grain, 230 grain, and 250 grain. The lowest velocity is 710, and the highest velocity is 859 with respect to bullets. Isn't that just cool? I found that came through the machine one day, and I reached down and looked at it. I was like, holy crap, that's a Schofield. So
guys, I'll be back in a minute. There's been an accident outside my house.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hope nobody's hurt.
Go, Pat, go.
Yeah.
So you've got the 44 Russian, which is a little shorter.
Mm-hmm. I've got some of those too.
Then you've got that, the 45 Schofield. Then you got the 45 Colt. And then 454 Casull is basically 45 Colt Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got 44 Cowboy Special too, which is the same cartridge cut down to about the size of a 45 ACP.
What about the 45 Cowboy?
That's what I said. 45 Cowboy Special.
Oh, Cowboy Special. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's that little bitty 45 ACP thing. So you got quite a variety to shoot out of that 45 Colt revolver, which will also shoot that and that Cowboy Special.
Isn't that cool? It's so many cartridges. I mean, just like the 6mm cartridge, the 45 it comes in so many flavors. I think it's just neat. I mean, I get to see all the stuff coming through the shop, and it's just amazing.
Isn't that for? Oh, sorry, Walter.
I was going to say, when that cartridge first started getting used by the U.S. Army, it sounded like a good idea, and it was a good idea if you're a mounted cavalryman using the Model 3, because you could control your horse in your, with your reins, and that Model 3's got a thumb latch that's a break top revolver, and you could open that thing up on your side of your leg with the other hand, and the ejection star that would come out would fling all of those rounds out off to the side, and then you could reload that, still got it broke, all the time hanging onto your reins. And you can't do that with a single action Army. However, what happened is now you had two different kinds of ammo, going out into the field, and the U.S. Army being what it was at the time, the guys that were given the single action Army, in a 45 Colt, they could shoot the 45 Schofield if it showed up. But back then, the diameter of the cylinders was a little bit different, and you couldn't get 6 of them in that 45 single action Army cylinder. You could get
Army,
3.
The Schofield.
Yeah, well, the Schofield has a bigger rim, so you couldn't get them all in a 45 Colt cylinder. And then you could still shoot them, but you couldn't shoot a whole cylinder full. And then going the other way, if you had the single action Army, or if you had the Schofield and got 45 Colt cartridges, they wouldn't work in there at all. So there was like, what do we do? The Army said to the Schofields.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I did a video on that when I bought my 45 Colt. I did a bunch of research on that, and I include that in the video about how the Army messed up by ordering all of this, and it didn't fit anything. So they were like, eh.
Yeah, it was a good idea for the cavalrymen. The foot soldiers didn't really like them that much. For one thing, they're more complex machinery in them than the single action Armies. Also, the simple action Army, compared to that Schofield, they were easy to take down and put back together and clean them up and whatnot. So much with the Schofields.
I did, however, get some notes on some news in the reloading component industry. I sat down with my boss today, and he had just gotten off the phone with a couple gentlemen. I had to wait for him to get off the phone before I asked him. And amazingly enough, he was talking to someone who was trying to buy tonnage of SMP 35 rifle powder, which is the industry standard for OEM for rifles, and OSB 640 pistol powder, which is industry standard for pistol powders, similar to Tight Group is what it is. OEM powder has doubled in price. So by June, factory ammunition is going to go through the roof because of lack of components. The powder is dry. He was trying to find 10,000 pounds for a guy and hit dead walls everywhere he went. And my boss said he's in the circle. So, and it's not out there. It's not available, even for the commercial reloaders, this is what they're using. In June, it's projected, there's going to be another 30% increase on commercial powder for us retailers to buy retail. So if you want to stock up, if you just want to be on the safe side, stock up with what you use, what you can find. 4350 is projected to hit almost $90 a pound. This is all not, it's hearsay, rumor, speculation. It's speculation out there, but he's dealing with this stuff on 500 to 10,000 pound bases doing deals. he does more than just Republic Ammunition. He also does big bulk deals between suppliers and commercial reloaders, being in the circle that he's in. So he's trying to get stuff cheaper. He's trying to find it out there. He's trying to make sure everybody has what they need. He's one of the guys that's trying to keep prices down and quantity up. He's doing everything he can. And he said today he was so frustrated because he just kept hitting brick walls. Yep, sounds like air gun time. And I went to stop at the Air Gun Plus the other day, and the guy had just closed up and was walking across the street and was not interested in coming back in. Well, I'll be talking to him here shortly whenever I find him when he's more pleasant to speak with.
I just dropped my bottle off this morning. Get filled up.
The last bottle I dropped off to get filled up had nitrous in it.
Well, this is a little bit bigger, but it's
my Mustang was a bottle baby, you know.
press
That's
there.
like a 175 horse nitrous boost to sit you back in the seat. But that's all the industry news I have right now. Picked his brain today, and if I find out anything else, I'll bring it to another episode. I'm sorry it was a depressing one. Is what it is, you know.
It happens. It happens.
It does. You know, I hate to bring that news that, you know, oh crap, this is out and that's out. And he said he was talking to one of the OEM guys, and they were saying, you know, the main chemical we're out of is just cotton and cow shit. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, believe it or not, made out of cotton and cow shit.
They're going to have us all turning back to black powder.
The nice thing about air rifles, at least here in Ohio, is suppressors aren't an NFA item with an air rifle. I don't know how they are other places, but they're not NFA items. They can buy them right off the shelf for an air rifle.
Yeah, we got counties, locals that here that have problems with them, but statewide we can do the same. You know, same with black powder. You just ship it right to your door, buy it, ship it right to your door. Carrying it is a different story. It requires a pistol permit to carry it. Same thing.
Yeah.
But you can buy it and have it shipped right to your door. You can't carry an air gun. You can't carry a black powder unless you have a permit. But you can buy
Wait,
it and have it
what
shipped
for over smoking the block? Have to have
Well, that was the thing. That was the
EPA
thing,
environmental permit for
a while
emissions.
ago. It was
Sorry.
not considered a firearm, and it's a lot of places are firearm permit they call them, or FIE cards, and firearms, and so there was a big thing about that. But they clarified it here a number of years ago. Our permit was actually never a concealed permit. It was just a permit, because we always had open carry here, and just never allowed it until a number of years ago. And they only just recently made clarifications and made changes to that here in Connecticut. It used to be a dangerous weapons permit, so it covered nunchucks and what do they call those things? The lead slap, whatever they were called. I forget what they were called.
Slapjack.
Yeah, jacks, and then big knives. But that changed, because it's okay to strap a 6-inch 44 under my arm, but I can't have a 5-inch knife blade.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, like a 4-inch knife blade is going to do less damage than a 5.
But my point is, I'm okay, good guy, all around good guy. I got my permit. I've been checked out. I'm okay. I'm trusted, but I can't have more than a 4-inch knife, because that would be just crazy.
Yeah. They're nuts.
When I was a kid, all the cops had those slapjacks.
Slapjack. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to
Or,
get back.
blackjack or a sap. Is
Sap.
what we call them.
Yeah.
I got to get back whip on my
I
bike.
still got one somewhere.
I make them.
I got one.
Hangs
Yeah.
off my clutch lever.
I got about a 6-inch Gonzales sap that they outlawed us using them. Even while I was back still working, we had to quit carrying them. Instead, they gave us a Monadnock PR-24 short handle baton, which is way more deadly than that sap was.
Yeah.
I make a sap. I load it with about 12 to 15 50 caliber round balls. And oh man, that thing would hurt.
Boy, I'm telling you.
Hey, probably doesn't need half of that.
Yeah. It's
There's
four,
Hillbilly.
4 layers thick and 9-10 ounce
Everything
leather.
came out all right.
Ooh,
Yeah, I got back here a few minutes ago. I've been listening, but yeah, so CW can't carry one of these toad stickers then, huh?
Not more than a
Look at
6-inch
it.
blade. And it's 6-inch. It's a 4-inch cutting surface.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That
crazy.
stinks.
Yeah, I
My
was just thinking
kicker, I
about-
got a good friend that collects those North American arms, them super small revolvers.
CW.
He's got quite a
CW's
few.
got several. Yeah.
I must have 20 before they fell off the back of the boat in that boating accident I had.
Yeah. That was a terrible loss.
They should have had enough life preservers in the boat, but unfortunately, you could not foresee the circumstances.
Yeah, I don't think they make that many.
Yeah, unforeseeable circumstances.
That was a big safe, Gene.
The whole thing went, huh?
The whole thing, yeah, everything
Wow,
Boy.
was awful.
sad.
Was awful.
I'll drop a tear for it later.
I bet
I'm
my
going to drop
buddy,
a big magnet.
I bet my buddy Kevin's got 10 of them.
There's just something kind of cool about them. I don't have any, but I've been looking at them, and they're legit here in California. I don't know why compared to all the other stuff we can't have. But
Well, they're
still
pretty
on.
well made. They're stainless steel. I really fell for them. I bought my first one in 1988, 87, 88. And, not exaggerating, I carried that thing every day until probably 5 years ago. Literally every day it was with me all the time.
Yeah.
They shoot bird shot, awesome, because that little barrel, it's such thinly rifled. It doesn't spray. Usually a rifle barrel slings shot like crazy, just slings it everywhere, and you get awful patterns. Well, that doesn't have much rifling in it. And, a lot of complaints people had was the bullets would tumble because they weren't stabilized. And that worked for the shot. So if you wanted it as a snake, rat, whatever, 10 feet away, it would pepper a can like nobody's business. There's no 38, 57 that would do better because it just the way the barrel was. And you can do some pretty good shooting with them. They're a get off me gun. They're a 5-foot shooter, but they go bang. They work. I've had them in the water, underwater, fishing. Around my neck, fishing, in my pockets. They just always hold up. They always work. They're just awesome. I wouldn't do it as a primary. It's a rimfire. I don't ever recommend a rimfire as a primary because it's a rimfire. But if you're going to have a rimfire, a revolver is the way to go because a misfire is just pull a hammer back again or pull a trigger again and you get a new cartridge, new cylinder. Where in a semi-auto with a rimfire, you got to clear it. It's a little more to do. So our second topic, we're getting close to time here for our verse of the week.
Yeah, we got about 9 or 10 minutes. We got a couple of questions out there. Michael Dunn asked me what powder do I use with slugs. Um, I want to say little gun.
There's a number of good powders. I like Long Shot, Blue Dot. That's what I've used. But there's a number of good powders out there that can be used. And again, I highly recommend a good manual because it's not the same as metallic loading.
You got to look it up, man. You
Yeah.
just got to get. You got to get either online or get yourself. I have 3 shotgun manuals. I think it's Lyman number 2, second edition, and a Lyman 5th edition. And I've got the advantages from uh, ballistic.
Ballistic Products has a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Specific for
Right.
gauges, specific for uses. They have buckshot. They have slugs. They have some pretty good stuff, and they're not overly expensive. And there's a lot of good information in there.
But that advantages manual is a good all around manual that includes buckshot and slugs as well. Yeah. There you go, Tommy boy. Check out Bubba Roundtree Outdoors.
Yeah.
And I bet Thorzak's, there he is.
Yep. Long Shot.
Long Shot, Blue
Blue
Dot.
Dot. It's just what I said. That's what I used. That's what I've used. Always worked good for me.
I'm telling you, if you get you a loading manual and start going through the loading data for shot shells, I'm telling you, that red dot you can do a whole lot with red dot if you can find it. I just can't find it. So, yeah. Okay. We've got 56 out there watching right now. How many of you guys, and we'll go through the panel as well, how many of you guys own a I can try, Tommy boy. All I can say is no. I'll try to get in touch with him.
I heard Dish Outdoors stopped by. I didn't see her.
All right. How many of you guys own a single action army, either a Colt or a clone? And we'll go through the room. Gene does. Walter got quite a few. CW does. I have Blackhawks. I don't think that qualifies. I don't think that they're single action. Yeah.
I
So
actually,
you know more about it than I do, Michael.
I actually took mine to the range. I was doing another video and doing some chronographing and stuff, and I took my 45 Colts single action army out to the range, and I put about 50 rounds through it, just to play, just something to shoot while I go. I like shooting that thing.
Walter's got a dozen.
I don't have that many.
11.
Mike has, yeah, 9.5. Edward Petty's got Colts and Rugers. Yeah, I have Black Hawks. I got 2 Black Hawks, but they're not. I think the Vaquero is more of a clone uh, to the single action armies. Uh, there's a company out there called, I think it's Standard Manufacturing,
Mhm.
and then there's one that's I think General or something like that. General Manufacturing. I don't know, but there's a couple of companies that make these things that are almost as expensive, maybe even a little more in some cases, of the Colts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Great Westerns have really. You don't see them that much anymore, but that was a really popular clone of a Colt way back in the day. And of course, U.S. Patent Firearms, which morphed into what you said there, Jamie. U.S. Patent was actually made in the Colt factory under the Gold Dome for a number of years. I've got a couple of those.
The GGW, I have a Super Black Hawk M44 Magnum, but it's only got a 7.5-inch barrel, and I really want some Taylors. Rebel wants a Cimarron Evil Roy. Um, Taylor has a model called the Drifter, and it's got a color case hardened frame and an octagon barrel and wood grips. And I
I've
really
seen
want,
that one. That
I
Yeah.
would love to have a pair of those.
Sharp.
And so,
yeah, they're neat looking.
if I could get them in sequential serial numbers, that would be awesome too. We're talking money now, ain't we? Not like a Standard or a Colt, though. Mark, you got some clones, don't you?
Yeah, I most recently I bought that Uberti Cattleman in 45 Colt for Christmas. That was something I always wanted. I had a 357 that I liked. It was a really good gun, but I just really wanted the 45 Colt, so I passed it off. The rest of my single action clones are all pretty much 22s.
Yeah, I forgot I've got 2 Heritage Rough Riders in 22.
Yep.
I still don't have any of those Rough Rider Heritage guns yet. And after watching Ron Wayne's series on those Wild West ones, he had five of them. I think that he did
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
series on. I was just going, holy cow! Those things are just they're just neat looking. You know, they're inexpensive, and the color case hardening isn't really color case, it's like painted on there and stuff.
It's color. Yeah, it's color.
Yeah, but they're just kind of neat. You know, they had some pretty good laser engraving on the grips for that series, and I thought
I haven't been able to get one. I got real excited for that really short barrel one they come out with a few years ago, and I went down and looked at them, and I just couldn't do it.
couldn't do it.
Nope.
Too cheap.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
I'm the same way with the High Point. I know Hillbilly loves them, but I just couldn't bring myself to it. But I got a couple of Heritage, and I'd like to have that Bass Reeves ones. That's the one that stands out to me the most.
Uh-huh.
When I looked at those, what's that 22 Magnum Keltec? So PMR 30.
Mm-hmm.
I went when they came out. I mean, I'm a 22 Mag nut. Anything 22 Magnum, I gotta have it. So I heard about that and talked to my dealer, and he got one in, and I picked it up, and I said, "This is a squirt pistol." I put it down. That was it. It was probably a month or 3. I looked at it again, and it feels like a squirt gun. It literally feels like a squirt gun. It weighs nothing. It's all plastic, and it's not even. I mean, I'll call Glock nice plastic. It's not even like that. At least the Glock has mass and weight to it. This was a feather. It's a squirt gun. That's the only thing I can think of. It's a squirt gun. But my buddy convinced me that we're going to go buy them, and we went down and we bought 2 of them. He bought one, I bought one, and I admit, I really do love it. I mean, it is a squirt gun. When you load it up, it's a little better, but it's got a really nice trigger. It's
Real
not
nice.
super accurate. It's accurate enough, but you got 30 rounds on tap, and it weighs like 14 ounces.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a joy.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that's the reason I bought mine is just summertime being out in the woods, got, shorts on and t-shirt. They're so lightweight. I mean, and like I said, you got 30 rounds of 22 mags. So
No walks. I don't have the Browning. I've got a Winchester. I got a Winchester 22 mag pump, and I got a Winchester 22 lever, the model 250, and what the heck is the other one? It's not a 94 lever. It's a full stock. I forget the number, but they're not common. But I don't have the Browning. I always wanted a 67 style Winchester pump. I never could find one. Rossi made them, and Taurus made them, and I never could find one to buy. That's one I don't have.
the only single actions I have now to date is the Rough Riders, and then that old H&R octagon or whatever barrel, revolver at 22. It's pretty old. It's called the Trapper.
Mhm.
That's
I like
the only
that one you
single-
have too, that 49. I want one of those.
Mhm.
I've looked for a long time for a Magnum 49. I find 20 long rifles all the time, but
Yeah.
never found a Magnum.
There's James Pugh. Hey, James. I like the single action army in a 45 Colt the best.
Yeah.
I've got a couple other calibers. I have that Pistolero and from Cimarron and 357, and that's fun to shoot too. That's the 4 5/8 or whatever that shorter barrel is. And I have one that's in 4440, the 1875 Remington lookalike. That's about as close as it comes.
14 and a half.
And that's a fun round to shoot too. I like shooting 4440 because I've got also from Cimarron, or from Uberti rather, that 1860 Henry clone, which is so it's fun to go to the range and take that big long old rifle and that funny looking 1875 revolver with a web on the bottom underneath
Yeah.
and shoot those. They're a kick, but the 45 Colt is what the single action army was born for, I think, and that's such a great round.
Yep.
You can make yourself wear wrist guards to hold your wrist together if you want to do that. But
If I got a pair of those, it'd be for cowboy action shooting, and it'll be interesting to see how the Tauruses do.
Well, if you can find it, there's also a Remington 1890 it doesn't have that web, but it still has that little different grip that the Remingtons had over the Colt. It's a little bit different shape, and your finger's a little closer to the trigger. Some people really like it. I don't find it to be a huge difference, but I've got a large hand, so different size hands are gonna feel things differently for shape and position. But if you can find or see, look it up on online. 1890 Remington looks almost the same as a Model P, an 1873 Colt, and it kind of looks like a cross between a 1875 Remington and a 1873 Colt.
Okay, let's talk about this. Well, I'm gonna leave that up there so we can talk about it when we get back from the verse of the week. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the verse of the week tonight because I read it to my wife and she told me I should skip it because we're both on our second marriage. I'll get it in a minute. Remember, we're going through the Sermon on the Mount, and we started in Matthew chapter 5. We're already down to verse 31 and 32 tonight. And Jesus is still talking here, and he says, "Furthermore, it has been said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce." So before we go into uh, what Jesus is saying in response to what they are saying, is that they would write in Deuteronomy 24:1. There's writings there about grounds for divorce and that sort of thing. And what the word they used in that verse is uncleanness. And so they debated on um, what uncleanness really was. Like, uh, would, and y'all know they did this about anything and everything back in those days, and they would uh, give a divorce for everything from not having the house clean the way the man wanted it, or all the way to burning breakfast, whatever. That was unclean. So I've got grounds for a divorce. So that's what we're talking about here. Is uh, one of the commentators named Bruce says that it had become an instrument of cruelty against the wives. That the scribes busied themselves solely about getting the bill of separation into due legal form. They did nothing to restrain the unjust caprice of husbands. They rather opened the door wider to the license. And this was very critical back in those days. I mean, uh, wives without husbands, that was a terrible thing. I mean, women couldn't hardly survive out there on their own. Okay, so now that we've got that down, let's go to verse 32. And Jesus says, "But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife for any reason except sexual immorality causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery." And the reason for this is, uh, my thinking is, when at the time these practices that I've just described are still going on, you got women who are divorced, and their only alternative for survival is to find another husband. But the fact of the matter is that there may be grounds for a divorce that is legal by the state, there's solid grounds by the state, and the divorce is recognized by the state. But those are not God's grounds for divorce. And God still sees us as married when we get a divorce that doesn't have the grounds in His eyes. So again, what we're seeing here is Jesus has taken the letter of the law, which the religious establishment of the day was trying to skirt around to do what they wanted to do anyway. And Jesus is calling us to a higher standard, a standard of our heart. And that's what these verses mean to me. Any of you guys want to chime in?
That'd be a tough one for me to really say much about because I've never been married. Come close a couple times, but I got away clean. This one sounds to me, and what you're talking about, Jamie, kind of clears it up a little bit. But first time I read through this, and I don't remember reading this one in the past. I must have, because I read the whole thing several times, but I didn't remember much about this. But it seems like it's saying that, oh, if you divorce your wife, then you're leaving her with no option but to commit adultery. And that if you marry a woman who is divorced, then you're committing adultery, which makes it sound to me like no divorce is recognized. and that you can divorce her all day long if you want to, but you're still married. And if you go, marry another woman, then you're committing adultery against your first wife. So that's what I thought this meant. But now that I hear you talking about it, I don't think I'm right about it.
Can you do me a favor, Jamie? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Barely, Pat.
Could you read both of those back to back again? Just like I'm allowing my slow, chunky brain to chew on that again.
I think I can do that. Furthermore, it has been said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife for any reason except sexual immorality causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery. So again, what we're seeing is here's the difference between the letter of the law, which the Sadducees and the Pharisees were experts at skirting around to do whatever they wanted to do, and what it's more like when that word sexual immorality there is translated into English from the original Aramaic or the Greek is as uncleanness really means fornication. They cleaned it up to sexual immorality. So
that's kind of what I figured it meant. I just needed to chew on both of those back to back. Being a divorced guy and remarried, and my wife being my wife now, having been divorced and married to me, it's, that's a hard one to pin down. I'm not, I don't know, my brain's having a hard one chewing on that.
yeah, like Tread says, the only reason to divorce is if she cheats on the husband. There's other grounds now. I believe that there's no way that God wants a woman to stay in a marriage with an abusive husband who's putting her life in danger by staying with this man. That's no.
Yeah.
That's, you'll never make me believe that. So I don't believe God is that hard.
Yeah. I don't think so. Because the way my brain chews on it, there's got to be more leeway than that. And I could be totally wrong. But yeah, due to physical or bodily harm, I can definitely see this. Who wants to be with somebody that's going to harm? Right? Just to put it plain and flat. Right there, that may lead to it.
Pat, we can't hear you, buddy. Something's happened terrible to your audio.
Alright, hold on.
Yeah, sounds like you're about 10 foot away from your microphone.
He's also got some feedback going on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that. How's that?
That's
Way better.
Loud and clear.
It switched me off of my headset to my computer mic. I don't know why it did that. Anywho, yeah, where did I leave off where you guys couldn't hear me?
Yesterday. we got to we were able to hear your questions and so forth.
Okay. Anyway, well, if you guys could hear me, then I guess that's all I've got to say. Then it's kind of a hard one to chew on for me since I've been married and divorced and remarried again, and so is my wife too. So there's a lot of pondering going on in my brain
Yeah,
on
well,
that one.
there is in mine too, and that's the reason my wife told me to skip these two verses and not to go there tonight because we're both on our second marriage as well. But
Well, it's not a bad thing to think about that either. I mean, because that makes you look at all the choices you've made in the past and everything and reflect on yourself, not just the other person or you know or what have you. I mean, it gives a person pause to make them think.
yeah, and Hasbro says the issue there is remarriage, and I understand why he says that. And you know I'm not perfect, and don't claim to
Hmm.
be, and I just try to do what the Lord expects me to do. And but then again, we rededicated our lives to the Lord after we were married. So
Well, I
you know,
think it
Mark,
goes back to that your pledge. You're in sickness and in health.
yeah,
Thor says abuse. And okay, surface looking at it, yeah, okay, abuse. I can understand that. Sure, everybody can understand that, but that's not fixing the problem within the constraints that you're held within. That's something else. This is not a regular person. This is your wife or your husband.
yeah,
So you need to work through that. You need to fix that. That's what you pledge to do.
Yeah, and
That's
that's when you get
that's where
in
that comes from.
for the yeah, and that's when you get into the phrase for better or worse. So it
Yeah,
gives it, and that has always made me think about getting married, divorced, and then remarried again too. And don't get me wrong, I love my wife. There isn't anybody else that I want to be with. And but the previous one, that one just makes me think. So
Well, I'm on my first marriage for the last time, but I'd sure like to talk about side gate loaders.
yeah. I think it's time.
that's a good one. Yep, I would love to go down that rabbit hole.
one thing before we move on to that, Tommy Boy says what makes me in awe is the word from 2,000 years ago still applies today.
Yeah, it is
Exactly.
amazing.
How much
You
more
know,
perfect can it be? Absolutely, Tommy Boy. Praise the Lord. All right, so another thing we need to praise the Lord for is side gate loaders on lever action rifles. That's the
Woohoo!
way life is supposed to be, and that's the reason He made them that way.
Yes, sir.
they are my preference. Starting off as a young man with my Winchester Model 94 3030, that was the rifle that I hunted with, the only rifle that I hunted with. And you just get used to being able to push them in there and to get them out, you jack them out. And I got a whole bunch of Henrys, like 6 or 7 of them in the safe over there, that are tubes. And the tubes are okay. You can unload them real fast. But I've launched those plungers more than once. You get that last round in there, and that spring's getting down in there pretty tight. And that tube, you're kind of holding it with your fingers, trying to get it twisted and locked into place. And all of a sudden, your grip slips, and boom, it goes out like an arrow out of a crossbow down into the range, and you got to ask the RSO for a ceasefire so you can go get it. I did that twice. And the only one that I have of the Henrys that's a side gate loader is the 3855, and that's really nice to have them both. it's nice to load them through the side and it's nice to unload them through the tube. But if I had my druthers, they'd all be side gate loaders, and Henry's now making all of theirs in side gates, but mine
I
were
do
earlier
see
models.
I do see the advantage of having the side gate and the tube, especially for hunting applications. When you get back to the truck, you don't have to. You can open that tube, dump them out, and then run that lever once.
Mhm.
But how many of us would just sit there watching TV and just work the lever on our lever rack? I mean, seriously.
Oh, that's me, brother, all day long.
I mean,
we
if
must
I-
have all have done that. Yeah.
If I had my way, every one of them would be dual. They'd be tube and side gate. Yeah, I mean that's the perfect lever action in my book.
Agreed, brother hillbilly.
Say that again.
In my opinion, the perfect lever action would have both the side gate and the tube.
Yeah.
I mean that's just that. I don't think you could do any better.
Hmm.
My Henry 45 Colt's got both tube and side gate.
Well, see, and here's the one thing that I think the marketers missed out on, and they only did it on one gun. Well, actually, two or three, if you count it. When Henry came out with those speedy loaders, I can reload my 22 with a tube type really quick with a speedy loader.
As long as you hold
Why?
your thumb over the hole.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But I got pretty quick at it, and is still pretty quick at it to this day. But why in the world did they not make speedy loaders for anything bigger than the 22s and the 17s?
I got 22 mag.
Right, exactly. You use the exact same speedy loader. But why in the world did they not do that for like a 357 or 4440? For all the calibers.
They did back in the day, but they didn't load from the end. They loaded through the side gate.
Right.
They actually
remember
had
those.
them. They actually had them that fit, 5 or 6 or 8 cartridges, and it stuck right in the loading gate. It pushed the gate open, and it had a sliding tube inside a tube, and it would load the full magazine in one push.
Right, and I'm just talking this is strictly for straight up for the tube type. No side gate on there, just like my Henry 22, or before they started doing the side gates on them. Why didn't they make speedy loaders for everything else? The cylindrical speedy loader I think that would have been awesome if they would have done it in more calibers.
Maybe they thought that'd have been too heavy for people to manage or something. I don't know. Trying to get them up over the end of the tube, and
No,
I don't know.
I just thought that was always kind of weird that they never tried to do that.
is there a possibility of a cartridge, say, just off the top of my head, say like a 22-250, that's very sharp and pointed, dropping them down a tube loader? I mean,
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
that's what
Potentially wouldn't be good.
yeah.
Matter of
Unless we
fact,
get
there's
into
Possibility.
Marlin made the 218B in the classic lever action with a tube magazine, and Spear came out with a flat pointed 45 grain bullet to use for that purpose.
For that.
kind of like Hornady and the Leverution ammunition.
Yeah, Kyle still won't trust that. Kyle Lusk, he won't do that for nothing. And I've told him I've loaded it in 35 and 30-30, and he still won't do it. Guys, we are out of time. We got to hurry and go through the room and clear the deck for Mr. Gizzard Gary coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern. So we'll let Mr. Hillbilly go first so he can get over there and help Gary out if he wants to. He don't have to leave us anytime if he don't want.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me on. I mean, I don't really think I'm teaching you guys a whole lot about loading, but you still have me on. I appreciate that. Man, we got tomorrow night. We got Guns, Beer, and Therapy. 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. If y'all can swing by and check us out there, we like to have some fun. And tomorrow I'll be dropping a video. But our buddy Mark over at Brownworks sent me something in the mail. I put up a little teaser short today, and we'll be dropping a video on that tomorrow. So check that out and go and support Mark at Brownworks. He's good people. So anyway, thank you y'all so much. Love you guys on the panel, side chat. I mean, love you too. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And I appreciate y'all.
Thank you very much, Hillbilly.
Good night, Hillbilly.
Night, brother.
I'm not going to bed.
Sleep tight.
You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, who's next? Pat, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Yeah, whatever. Thanks for having me on tonight, Jamie. Might have found my new home for Friday nights on here. I definitely love coming on here and talking with you guys. I've learned quite a bit, especially from Jane and Bible verses and everything, kind of getting back into that. Brought me cause to crack my Bible back open a little bit and do a little bit of reading again. So, yeah. So learning and getting my brain turning again. So, and the accident that was just right down the road, bunch of kids, they're fine. They were just taking them to the hospital for a precautionary measure. So, because I know I kind of left out of here really quick because it would happen on my property. So I had to go down and check it out. But all the kids are okay. Little worse for wear, but just taking them to the hospital to check them out. So, thank you, Jesus, for that. So, nobody got seriously hurt.
Amen. Thanks for being here, buddy. We appreciate
it.
Mark Thomas, you want to go next?
Sure. So much. Thanks for having me. Always love being here on Friday nights. Been trying to keep up with the side chat and doing as best as I can, but that's a tough job. So great topics tonight. Great fellowship. A lot of learning. Spectacular. As far as what I have coming up, I'm not too sure. I've got a couple more leather projects I'm going to try to get out this week, and if I can sneak out to the range on Sunday, maybe I will. If I do, try to shoot a little bit of it and share it with you. So just thanks for having me. Been great. Pass it on to Walter.
Okay. First of all, again, Jamie and the rest of you boys, thanks for including me in this. I really feel like this Friday night chat has helped me grow quite a bit since I started, participating in this panel in a lot of different ways. This has been a real, just a grand experience for me. So I'm happy to be here. As far as what I got coming up, I don't really know. Like Moldy Monday's a done deal, although I will keep doing that kind of thing periodically. It's not going to be on a regular basis. I've got an idea for my own live chat that won't interfere with anybody else's. I got to figure out how to do StreamYard first. I'm going to have just dogs on it. So we're going to invite Ellie and Everybody's dogs. No, so I'm working on that, and that'll be a mid morning thing for us old geezers. So that and the Rumble channel is still rocking and rolling over there. The Free the Few is going to rock and roll for another couple months before I'm done with that one. So if you haven't seen my Rumble channel, check that out. That's where I'm putting most of my actual reloading and bullet casting stuff because YouTube's on my case. But that's what we got going on over here. Where are we headed? Upstairs to Gene?
That's what they call me, among other things. It's always great to be on the chat Friday nights. I really enjoy it. I agree with Walter on everything. I really like being on here, like my little What's Hot Pot Got, and I like to share things and some industry news. I got some videos coming up if I ever get some time to make them. I got a bunch planned, but man, days run shorter than the projects do, that's for sure. I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. Take good care of yourselves. Just remember to be kind.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you for being here. Ohio Simple, I don't know what's going on with Chris, but we'll certainly say a prayer for him because God knows. And we'll check on him tomorrow and see if there's anything we can do. CW, what you got coming up this week?
I got a few things planned. I've got videos out to, I think, the 10th now. Every day. New one every day. So you got that to look forward to. I am starting to move them around. I was launching them in the morning. Now I'm going to be launching them morning, midday, and afternoon. See how that goes. And I want to thank everyone in the side chat. It was a really good night. A lot of really fast moving, great comments, great interactions. I think it's awesome that you guys just talk amongst yourselves over there and carry on conversations and, kind of let us in on a few things. That's awesome. We like to see more questions from you, but it's awesome that you guys are, coming here and having a good time amongst yourselves. So that's just awesome because we're just here for you. And, we're just hanging out, talking 6, 8, 10 guys on the panel here. And it's nice to have interactions with everybody. And everybody on the panel has got a really valuable point of view and brings things to the table. Maybe not every single week, but always something. And it's really, really appreciating to have all you guys here and all of your opinions and all of your angles and views on things. It really helps round out what we all see. We all have a different take on things. We all come from a different background, but yet similar enough that, we're all kindred spirits here. So it's a good time every Friday night and I really enjoy it. So yes, I've got, I don't know what's coming up next because I'm so far ahead, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. I did start at least one new series. Don't know how far it's going to go, but Mama's Guns. That was that 35 Remington video was pretty well received, and I got a lot of comments with that. So I got a couple of different things that I've either bought and said they're hers, or she's glommed them because she liked them. So I'll bring those out and do a video, do a bench top or a range session and see how that goes. I tried a range chat and that seemed to go pretty good. So I'll probably do a few more of those. I don't perceive myself doing any lives, but I'd like to get more involved with different lives. It's just that some of the times are tough for me to meet and do. Hillbillies is kind of late on Saturdays for me, so it's kind of why I don't get those. But I watch them on Sunday mornings, so I watch them to see what's going on.
I go on and fall asleep halfway through.
So it's good times, and you guys are having fun, and that's great. But what about you, Jamie? What do you got coming up?
I've got something pretty big going on next Friday night. I'll be checking on Chris from the 740, and uh, he's a good brother, and we need to be praying for him. And James Pugh, he's got another hernia thing coming up, so need to take it easy, brother. Good night, Dave Thorzak's. Peace, brother. Uh, I want to do so many videos. I've got so many ideas. I'm just covered up getting ready for do different things. And we've got a grandson be here within the next 3 weeks. We got to get the house ready for that and all this other stuff. So we're just trying to be thankful for all this stuff. And I'll get videos done when I can. I just thank all you guys. We had 63 viewing at one point. I appreciate all the viewers coming in, all you guys on the side chat. I thank all you guys on the panel. You the ones that make it possible to do this, and we're just thankful for all you do. We're coming up on our 6-year anniversary. We're closing in on 500 subscribers on a channel that has nothing on it but live streams. That's incredible, guys, and we thank you so much. Other than that, we hope the Lord blesses you all real good. And if He's willing, we'll see you next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Say good night, y'all.